All right, here we have a replay between Mars Pattern and Tritone. Got to play with Tritone recently. Pretty nice individual. Enjoyed my time with them. And two definitely off-meta builds here. Pegasus Knights, huh? Bretonnia has been rising up the ranks in priority as far as land battles go. People have been enjoying them a lot with the Grail Guardians buffs. Those units with a lot of heal support can be quite strong. We aren't seeing any of those today. We are seeing Foot Squires versus Slaanesh, which is interesting. So for the builds, for Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh, we have a Bringers of Beguilement, ROR, Exalted Demonettes. It looks like we have two Chaos Furies. Yep, two Chaos Furies, some Hellstriders, some Seekers of Slaanesh. Are any of you Heart Seekers? No, okay, it's just regular Seekers. And then, of course, Nakari. 3,000 plus gold on this Lord. Very, very difficult to get that cost down. We just have some basic spells and some good dueling capabilities, but they're low armor, high price point, and low HP pool will cause them some issues. For Bretonnia, real quick, we have 5 Foot Squires, some Peasant Spearmen. We do have 2 Pegasus Knights, King Luin Leoncoeur himself, a Life Caster, and a Paladin with some archer support. But looks like we are already into the thick of it, and Bretonnia with only 2 Cav units, and both of them are flying, are going to have a hard time defending these archers. And you can see already Furies, Hellstriders, Seekers, everybody is piling in to make these Pegasus Knights and archers have a bad time. Archers are unable to fire, and while that is true, the Foot Squires will be losing the fight against the Devoted Marauders, I would assume, but it actually looks like they're doing okay wherever there isn't giant monsters support. So okay, alright, Foot Squires doing a little better than I would have thought on the front lines here. Their armor piercing is unfortunately a little wasted versus the Devoted Marauders, but their anti-infantry will not be. So Luin and his Pegasus Knights do shatter a Seeker. It's entirely gone, just disintegrates away. Another Hellstrider is also being pushed off. Meanwhile, Nakari has dove the back line, made a hole in the front line, and is now trying to snipe out the Damsel and the Paladin. Luin joins in on the fight over here while some peasants offer a little bit of fire. And on the front line, Hellstriders and Seekers getting wrapped up in the little struggle with the Foot Squires. Nakari did get some nice shots onto the Damsel of Life. She might have to use some of that healing on herself, and meanwhile Nakari is trying to get away. Nakari does have some healing of their own, but the main problem is, one, if they even brought it. But they only get that, there it is, they only get healing if a unit is destroyed, so for mortal units, they can't shatter or rout, they have to, like, die. Like, every single model in this Foot Squire would have to die, which is one of the main reasons Nakari really struggles as like a competitive lord, is because they only really reliably receive their healing versus undead or demon factions. The Bretonnian front line is holding better than I would have assumed. Twice now I have said that about the Foot Squires, and I meant both of them. Now, I guess that shouldn't be that shocking, since Bretonnia did spend most of its money into its front line with only 2 Cav pieces, and they're both Pegasus Knights. That money had to go somewhere, and it went into the Foot Squires, so those guys did hold. Good for them. Meanwhile, the backline has not fared nearly as well. Peasant Bowman being routed off, though Luin and his Pegasus Knights got rid of a lot of Seekers. I saw 2 different Seekers definitively die already. Hellstrider took a lot of damage, and this other Hellstrider is healthy, but still doing overall okay. Quick Lash of Slaanesh onto the front line for the army-wide buff, but also just get a little bit of poke damage out. Nakari is now surrounded. Nakari, one thing that is nice is if they can snipe out this little damsel, it is pretty easy to kill off that unit. I mean, it's a single entity, so when it runs out of health, it runs out of health. As opposed to infantry, which you can chase around into infinity. So if Nakari can actually kill the Paladin or the Damsel, they can get a pretty big heal that will keep them nice and active in this game. And the Bringers of Beguilement really doing that nice rampage, like Dark Elves use Witch Elves for the Bringers of Beguilement. Just a nice infantry unit that can really saturate a back area and cause a ton of rampages, take agency out of the hands of your opponent. Now this Paladin is just helplessly sitting here instead of trying to path away or trying to get to Luin or even to target the right unit. He's just sitting here fighting the Bringers of Beguilement. Hopefully Nakari can charge in and deal with him. Big charge, big hit. Only 500 HP left. If Nakari hits again, that guy is most likely dead. 27 HP, 20, 14, 17, 3, and he dies, giving Nakari a big heal that they definitely needed, as Luin is also diving in onto them. Balance power has been against Slaanesh for quite a while now, but all is not lost just yet. As health bars get low and leadership gets low, Slaanesh can just cycle charge their way through a late game. Punches the Damsel, but since she got knocked down, Nakari for some reason doesn't get to do any damage because that was fixed in the beta, and it was not fixed in live, and I don't know why, but okay. Hits her again. This time it does deal damage and then runs up. Punts her another time, having a really difficult go of it trying to finish off this little damsel. Decides to maybe just deal with Lewin instead. Big hits there. Nakari's stats are jacked up. 1k weapon strength, 82 melee attack. So Lewin's pathetic 45 melee defense will not keep him safe for very long. That looked like a double hit onto Lewin there, and Lewin might just rout as Bringer's Beguilement are joining in. They might cause another rampage. Big Earthblood onto Lewin, trying to keep him safe, but Nakari's having none of it, just chasing him away. Can Nakari get another hit before he takes off into the sky? No, so Lewin will probably come back, but Nakari needs to come right around. The damsel is routing. Once again, boom, big shot, big heal. Nakari will be healthier. Bounce power is steadily climbing back towards the middle of the map, the middle of the bar. As Pegasus Knights have finally routed off those Hellstriders in the back, they come over to give Nakari what for. And that does bring one archer back into the fold. For Slaanesh, we have the Bringer's Beguilement Super Elite ROR, and Nakari himself trying to carry this whole game as Pegasus Knights dive onto him in the distance. We have some healthy infantry chasing off a Devoted Marauder. Whoops, did not mean to come over here. We'll see how that goes. Lewin is in the sky. He has lost his regeneration, the ladies' champion. It only works if he doesn't break, but now that he is back after breaking, he is mortal. No healy heals for you. Nakari is getting a mass rout, just slaughtering through these poor Bretonnians. Good lord. Go, Nakari, go. Quick Fascination army ability stops the Peasant Bowmen from firing, causes them to rampage, which walks them slowly at the enemy, but they are going to break from the damage dealt to them. Nice little play there. They even shatter. No more ranged support whatsoever for the Bretonnians. Their knights are too injured to be of effect. Foot Squires are not going to carry this game versus Nakari. At this point, it is starting to look a little doomed. Treetone dives in onto these Marauders, but they are ITP since they are Slaanesh. They cannot be terror routed. Lewin dies, sniped by Nakari, and this will give him that heal once again to proc army losses. GG. Well-played game overall. 4,400 on Nakari, 2,400 for the Demonettes of Slaanesh. Seekers really struggled to get their value back, so that was disappointing. Hellstriders did okay, also not really getting their value back. Furies dove in there, just stopped the archers for a bit, and the Marauders of Hellscourges did fine. So it was the Marauders, Bringers of Beguilement, and Nakari show. The mobility elements really didn't do that great, unfortunately. Lewin, 2,200, so honestly good stuff from him. Pegasus Knights also got pretty good value. Paladin did fine, Lifecaster did fine. Foot Squires held for a long time, and Peasant Spears also got a lot of value. So the Bretonnian army really spread a lot of their value out, so most of their units performed nicely. I still probably would opt for like 3 or 4 Knights of the Realm versus Slaanesh. Their anti-large and lack of armor piercing just is good versus Slaanesh, who is large and not armored. But Pegasus Knights were neat. They did a good job, so hard to really complain that much. Roar! Subscribe, yes, yes.